Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. So I guess this is going to be kind of a bonus video. I definitely have got a lot of reloads ready to go. I am off today finally, but it's kind of rainy and a little bit windy, so probably not going to shoot today. But I can make a video as kind of a bonus for this series because I've been doing a lot of work to my Savage axes. Just not the one the series is about, this one. So I've had this 243 Savage Axis 1 for probably 7 years. About 6 years ago, I did a similar thing. I made some upgrades, some improvements. One is it doesn't have the active trigger, so I bought an M-Carbo trigger spring kit, installed it. Took the weight of the trigger pull from like 7 or 8 pounds down to 4.5. Not as nice as the active trigger that I've got at 2 3/4, but it's dramatically better. And that kit also came with the shims that basically keep the play and the wiggle out of the trigger. So definite improvement. This metal guard on the Savage Axis Hardwood was plastic, and I thought that plastic trigger guard just doesn't seem to go well with that wood stock. And so I did find an aftermarket metal trigger guard and I installed that. It was free floating. But it was kind of close on one side, very similar to the other one. So I did sand out the channel just a little bit to make sure I had plenty of room in the chamber. I did take off the 2-piece base, rings, and weaver scope that it came with. And I gave that scope to somebody, still got the rings and base. I might sell it on eBay or something, but back then I bought a single piece weaver style base with these worn rings right here, these vertical steel worn rings. And I bought a Redfield Revenge 3x9 scope. And that was pretty much it. I have killed 3 white-tailed deer with this gun. Not that that's some great feat or anything, but I have used it for hunting. And I've shot it on the channel before. You've seen me shooting the 95 Sierra tipped Match Kings. You've seen me shooting the 90 grain also ballistic tips. And I definitely want to do more reloading in the future. But this project's been so fun to me personally, getting that Axis 2 and doing all this work to it. It's just been a blast to me personally. So I kind of wanted to do this with the Axis 2. So I decided to go back and see if there's any more improvements that I could do on the Axis 1. So I had 2 big issues when I first bought it. The trigger, number 1. Number 2, the slippery stock. It's a Boyd's hardwood stock, but this is the Savage factory stock. And it has no checkering. It's very slippery. Has no way to grip it really. So still, it's fine overall. It has worked for me. It's not that big of a deal, but if your hands are really cold, or especially if you're wearing gloves, it's very slippery stock. So back then, I looked into ways to take some of that slipperiness out of it. Never could really figure out a good way to do it. And then now today I decided to do that again, or this past week. You could checker it. Number 1, checkering it, like if I took it to a gunsmith and had a gunsmith checker it, it's gonna be fairly expensive. Probably not crazy, but and I just don't think the gun is worth it. It's not worth me taking it to a gunsmith to get it checkered. It's just a Savage Axis. I could learn to do it myself. I could buy the tools myself and do it. I really don't want to. I don't care that much about this particular stock looking just ornate and anything like that. It's literally just to have a grip. And I knew there has to be some kind of cheaper, checkering, like maybe press checkering versus hand cut. But I just could not find anything really on the internet telling me how to get some cheap way to get this checkered. So I ended up buying Talon grips. I've used Talon grips before. I bought them and installed them on my 9mm Glock. And that's really what they're used for, is handguns. But I got a couple sheets. Got the rubberized feel sheet, and then I got the more sandpaper textured sheet. Now here on a pistol grip, or this grip, I have the rubberized part because that's where your hand's going to be. You don't want it to be like sandpaper with a rifle. If your hands are real dry, it might crack it or something. So I got the rubber grip here. and I just kind of cut out a shape that looks similar to what some people have done with checkering before on the forend, and it is that sandpaper feel, that really grippy feel. And so this is a very cheap way to get some nice grips on there. Of course, I used the hair dryer and I wiped it down with alcohol, used the hair dryer, really got it on there good. And I actually had a piece up here at one time as well. I just didn't like the way it looked, so I took it off. And in taking it off, let me tell you, it didn't come off easy. So I feel really good about these particular grips. Next thing was the bolt lift. Now the bolt lift kit that I put on this other one, I would say took out 20%, if not a little bit more, of the pressure when you raise the bolt lift, especially after a shot. And so I didn't even know about that back in the day. So I bought another one for this rifle. This one, of course, comes with the blued spacer because it matches the blued barrel versus the stainless barrel. And bought it from the same guy on eBay. And actually the blued version is $5 cheaper. It's $20 free shipping. The stainless steel spacer version is $25 free shipping. So now both guns have the kit, the bolt lift kit. Well, then I went back to the optic and I thought, okay, I like the worn ring, this steel vertical worn ring. I got no issues with that. But kind of like I did over here with this Tally Picatinny rail, I want to upgrade to a Picatinny rail. And nothing wrong with a Weaver style base, but I just feel like everything, not everything, but almost everything will work with a Picatinny, and it's more universal in our day and age today. Plus, I think it's just a little bit beefier, a little bit better overall. So I went with a Picatinny rail. This is a worn single piece Picatinny rail, and got it installed. Pretty happy with it. And then I thought, okay, the Redfield Revenge scope has been just fine, but I just kind of want something a little bit nicer. And I guess it's subjective on whether you think I made a good choice or not. It is heavier than that Redfield was. I think it's nicer. I thought about getting another Arkin EPL4. It's just such a great value, but that was $300 on sale, not counting these scope caps. I think I paid an extra 40 or 50 for those, maybe 30. But I didn't want to pay quite that much. I wanted to get something a little bit cheaper than that, but still a really good value. Still look for a rugged scope with pretty good glass. And I wanted it to have all the things that I like about a scope. I want it to be second focal plane, have a good hunting style reticle, minute of angle. I want it to have a side parallax, and I want it to have illumination if possible. I could go without the illumination, but if I can get it for the same price, awesome. I was thinking 1-inch tube versus the Arkin 30mm tube because I already had these rings ready to go. So I went through several and I almost got the Athlon Talos scope. It really seemed like a good value and I got pretty much everything I wanted in it, and it was on sale on Amazon for I think $229, and I was very tempted to get it. Then I got to looking at Riton scopes. I've heard of Riton scopes. I've not heard anything bad about them. They have like their model 1, 3, 5, and 7. 7's, of course, their high-end, I think made in Japan version. And obviously your Riton 1 is the cheaper one. And then they have the Primal, the Conquest, and something else. But the Primal, which was what I want, is the hunting version. But anyway, I started looking at Riton scopes and went to Amazon, and they had a Riton 1 Primal for $239, only $10 more than the Athlon Talos. And it seemed like, pretty much the same features, maybe just a little bit more rugged, maybe just a little bit better glass, but overall the same price. And its MSRP is around $275, so I thought that's not a bad deal. Ended up going over to eBay and not shopping for used, but shopping for new Riton scopes. And I found a Riton 3 Primal for like $250, which I thought, wow, that if I'm gonna step up to the 3 for only $20 more, that's a great price. And then I saw this one, a Riton 1 Primal, just what I wanted. It is It is a 4x12 by 50. I was kind of wanting a 50 millimeter objective with this scope and rings. I just felt like a 50 would be nice and close to the barrel. If I got something like a 40, it was gonna have a big gap. And I thought, you know, it'll look just right. And the person on eBay had it for $190, free shipping, brand new. I thought, ooh, man, that's a good deal. Once again, MSRP $275, $280. Now, I'm also a seller on eBay, and I know that when someone watches your item, eBay kind of sends you a message like, hey, do you want to send them a special offer? So this person saw that I was watching the scope and sent me a special offer of $170. So now it's down to $170, $100 under MSRP, free shipping. So I got it. Honestly, wasn't 100% sure it was going to fit until I got it all mocked up here. This actually is just mocked up. I have not torqued this down yet. I will. I just wanted to kind of see what it would look like. The ocular bell in the entire area back here is quite large. And so my issue wasn't up here, actually is really close back here. And if I just go back, it's going to flip this scope cap up. Now, if I take the scope cap off, or if I leave it up, there is no issues at all. It's fine. But that's pretty darn close. It also, on the magnification ring, you know, 5-6 millimeters there, but it's pretty close. Pretty close up here, but anyway, honestly, fits about perfect. Just the only thing is it's with that cap on there, it's a little close back here. My first impressions of the scope, very pleased with it. Very smooth. Like, this magnification is so smooth. It comes with a throw lever that I took off, but it's so smooth. One thing about the Arkin, it was not that smooth on the magnification. It feels real sturdy and well built and rugged, but it's pretty tight. The parallax was really tight. The illumination was extremely tight. Now, I know that'll work out over time, but right out of the box, this was just super silky smooth. And anyway, I'm a big fan so far. I will do a review before too long on both of these scopes, but so far I'm happy with the Riton 1 Primal. First impressions of the glass quality, it's good. Build quality, good. Turrets, just fine. Basically just has the fire dot illuminated reticule in the middle, very similar to a loopholed reticule. Kind of got the duplex crosshairs, but a very thin crosshair with the fire dot reticule, and 6 power settings on the illumination dial. Parallax goes like from 10 to infinity. And just from, you know, shouldering the rifle and looking, it seems to be really nice. So, and I think it looks really good. I think it looks really nice on that rifle. I weighed both rifles again. Now, like I said, this rifle here, the Axis 2 stainless with the Arkin EPL4, weighs around 9 pounds. It's actually under, and that's counting all that I added to the stock. It's a little under 9 pounds, but it's close. And I just felt like this was going to be lighter, but it's not actually. It's 9.5 pounds. So this Axis 1 hardwood with the Riton scope is 9.5 pounds. Now, that's not counting these CV Life bipods. I just have those in there for the video so they can stand up here and you can look at them. So let's just do a quick summary, and then I'm going to talk about my reloads and what I'm going to be shooting on the next video. So starting with the stock, the wood stock is much more rigid than the synthetic stock was on the Axis 2, so there's no need to do any reinforcements or anything like that. I sanded out both channels though, because you're going to have flex, you're going to have warpage, especially with wood in different climates and temperatures. So both channels have been sanded out extra. No reinforcement needed to the hardwood. However, no grip, so I had to add these Talon grips. Did not have to add any grips. With the synthetic, it's just fine. Both have a bolt lift kit installed. The Savage Axis 2 has the AccuTrigger, so it's awesome. This one did not, so got it. Put a M-Carbo trigger spring kit in. This has a metal trigger guard aftermarket piece. Both rifles have a single piece base. This is a worn single piece base, of course, with the 648 screws. That's what the Axis 1 comes with. And then the Axis 2 is a Tally single piece base with the 840 screw. Vertical rings, vertical worn rings or steel rings on this one. Got to be really careful when I'm tightening that down not to go overboard. And then that has Arkin rings, the Halo Arkin rings. If you add everything together on price, this one here is a little under 800. That one there is a little over 800. Even though I've actually added more things to this, like the trigger spring kit and the metal trigger guard, because the scope was so much cheaper overall that I have more money in that. But for a little under 800 or a little over 800, I think I have a really, really good rifle scope combo. In one of my videos, I had someone comment and say, you know, with all this money you've put into it, you might as well have just got like a Tikka. And the answer to that is no, you're not thinking it through. So this gun was $350 back in the day, 7 years ago. That's including rings, scope, and base. This gun was $340 before my discount with no scope or base. So it's a $350 gun, right? Now, you add up everything I've put onto these, not counting the scope, the base, or the rings, just the rifle. I've added probably $100, maybe a little bit more onto this one. I've added probably like, you know, 60, 70 bucks onto that one. I've honestly not added much. I've done everything very cheaply without spending much money. So whether I'm at $450, even $500 on this one, but probably not even close. You know, $450 is a far cry from an $800 or $900 Tikka. A Tikka T3X stainless light is a rifle that I think is awesome, and I do want one of these days. But it's $800 or $900 MSRP, not counting the optical system at all. So to say that I might as well have got a Tikka, no, you're still not even close. Now a CVA Cascade, is it like double the price of the Savage Axis? Maybe you could say, well, I would have just went with the CVA Cascade. Or Ruger Americans around $450, Winchester XPRs around $500, maybe a little bit more. So those rifles, you could make a case for that, but Tikka, no. So in my opinion, a Tikka, a Bergara, that's just in the next level. And adding a few cheap upgrades to this is not a comparison. Of course, on the rings and the base, I didn't go cheap. You can get really cheap rings and bases. I didn't do that. I got nice, you know, Tally or worn or Arkin rings. It's high end, they're high quality, and I basically spent $120 on both setups just for the ring and the base. $60 for the ring on each and $60 for the base on each. So I didn't skimp there. And then the amount of time that I have researched scopes to get a great scope for the, you know, a great value scope for the money. I feel like I've got really good scopes that are underappreciated, probably because they're made in China. Now, both scope companies are American companies, designed by Americans, but yes, they're manufactured in China. So because of that, a lot of people are turned off, and I understand that. It's totally understandable. But I feel like if this was a loophole, if either one of these was a loophole with the same amount of features, same quality glass, same quality turrets, just said loophole on it, it'd be probably a $600 or $700 scope. I feel like I have an amazing scope for the money, high quality rings, high quality base, and a good accurate gun. With what little issues I had with it, I have cheaply fixed them, and I am thrilled. I'm happy. So before I move on to the reloading, will I be doing more to these rifles? Maybe. I am tempted. There's one thing that one person commented and said, hey, you know, you can get an extractor kit upgrade. It has a new extractor, a new ejector, a new extractor spring, kind of a beefier extractor spring, ejector springs, beefier, and then it has an oversized detent ball that goes behind the extractor. And it's like 27 bucks. And I'm tempted to buy two of them and just go ahead and put them in the rifles. But I'm hesitant because up till now, I've only done any kind of modification or upgrade because of a real issue I had, not because I just think it's cool sounding. I've had no issues with ejection. I've had no issues with extraction, and so it's tough for me to make that leap. But I am a sucker for things like that, and just thinking I could buy a $27 kit, and I watched somebody do it, and it's not hard to do, so it's very tempting. If for some reason, which I already know that this gun shoots, it shoots really good. And my first day shooting factory ammo was okay. It's a windy, nasty day. And that was the first shots of the gun ever. So it's yet to be determined if this gun's gonna be a shooter or not, but I have full confidence that it will be. But for some reason, I'm having all kinds of trouble. And I did circle back. I definitely would do some betting, whether it was the scope base, this bottom metal here, or if I just pillar and glass bed. I'd have to do it myself to make it worth it. These guns, in my opinion, are just not worth paying a gunsmith to do it. But I could circle back around to that. And there's a few more little things that I could do. But as of now, I'm calling it good. And I'm happy, and I've had a blast doing this. All right, so next time when I get a day off and the weather's nice, it doesn't have to be nice, just not rainy like this, I'll get out and shoot. Now, I've got some factory reloads set up. So first of all, I went back to the TTSX, 130 grain TTSX, and I'm gonna shoot it again with W748 like I did before, but I wanna see how it shoots out of this 308, not my other one. But I'm also gonna use Varget powder with the 130 grain TTSXs, and I'll be trying Varget and W748. I'm gonna go back to the Spear Impacts 172, and I'm actually gonna try CFE 223. I shot them with Varget, and they did fine, but I don't feel like the velocity was where I wanted it to be, and so I'm gonna use that CFE 223. Been looking for a reason to use that powder anyway, and so I'm gonna see if I can get more velocity with that powder. Also loaded up some 150 grain Sierra Game Kings. I've had these bullets for a long time. I know of 5 deer that have been killed with that particular bullet out of my Frankengun 308. So they're definitely a good deer bullet. Loaded up some of those with W748 powder, and I'm definitely gonna try those and see how they shoot out of this gun. Got those 65-year-old bullets that I showed off a few times. I've reloaded them, and I'm gonna use Varget, and I already really done everything I need to do with those bullets, except for I do want to shoot them in water. That could be a separate video, but I do have several bullets that I've got lined up that I want to shoot into water and see it and do an expansion penetration test. But I just want to know how those particular bullets shoot out of this gun. And then I also have 125 grain Nosler ballistic tips that I am going to shoot with W748 powder and see how my gun likes them here. So I've got 5 things loaded up, ready to go, and we'll see how this gun likes my reloads. And then it's off to the races. I haven't quite bought the Lapua small rifle primer brass, but I'm going to when I get the money. And I've got a lot more things that I want to try. But I kind of wanted to give you a little bonus video and show you what I've been doing. I love messing with stuff like this. I think these 2 rifles are nice looking, high quality, good value, budget rifles. So what do you think? Please leave it in the comments, whether good or bad. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. We've got several range videos coming out in this series. We'll be doing more coffee and cartridges, of course, range videos. And then I'll also got several videos I'll be doing where I do a review on a rifle cartridge and other outdoor videos. So stay tuned for that. If you've liked this video or this series, please give it a thumbs up. So far, I've got tons of great comments from you guys that you really like this kind of stuff. So when this is all done, I might look into getting another low-end, cheaper rifle and doing another project with it. If it seems to be something that my channel likes, I'd love to do it. I really enjoy doing that. I know I've told you that like 100 times, but I really enjoy it. So I'm gonna leave it there, but I've had a great day. I hope you have a great day. And until next time, take care.